Hey everyone, welcome to Sunday. I almost said Saturday. This is our normal, like clockwork time. By the way, Tech Tom, behind the scenes, if you don't mind making sure that we're on the Kickstarter page as well, that'd be great. So we are here tonight. Danny is under the weather and Leah couldn't make it. So we still wanted to do something with you guys. So we're going to do some kind of talky stuff, but also we're going to do some role play of what happens after the fighting pits when we return to the inn. So just to give you a little pre look at all that, basically we found out that Flint lost the fight, and we can maybe what we'll do is one of us can read Danny's monologue he sent us of the announcer reading what happened in each round. So we'll get to that. But the first thing I wanted to do is talk a little bit with everyone about the Kickstarter so far. So really exciting news. We crossed 8,000 today. So that's huge. We are 161% funded, and we are almost
Crazy.
less than $2,000 away from meeting our first stretch goals. So this is super exciting. Can't wait to hit that. I'm going to be sending an update tonight and stuff to our I just hit my mic, to our mailing list as well, talking about some of the stuff you're going to be able to get at that first stretch goal level. So what do you guys think, seeing the Kickstarter amount going up, and how's it feel to be part of this world in a really unique way?
Well, I guess the first thing that I have to say is that I'm just super excited that people are seeing all of the awesome work that Danny and the artist put into it, because it is a really cool project. But also, like, it just shows that, when there's something behind what's being made, that people will support it. So that's super cool.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see, the growth and the investment of people, how many people have started following, how many interviews people have reached out to do, and reviews and stuff like that, and really see the success grow with this. And that's been a really exciting moment for me to watch all of this kind of come together. So
Yeah, it's
uh,
pretty crazy. It's like I'll look at it one day and then it'll be like, at a certain point, and all of a sudden it jumps like several $100s. So that means that there's like some pretty like hefty believers out there, and that's like super cool. Like that, people are catching on to it and putting so much behind it. It's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, I think it's neat that, like, to go off that, it's really cool that not only, like, if you just are a comic book fan and you want something new to get in on at the beginning of a series and stuff like that, that you can do $10. You can do, for the digital copy, you can do $20 for the physical copy, and you can do that. But what really seems to be great is so many people really want to be involved in building this world with Danny as a creator, and so they're doing the higher level tiers to get them, that access to what's behind the scenes, and some of that collaboration, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite is making an NPC for the world. Like, I've already been thinking lots of ideas. I know I get one, but or at least so far. So, but I love that one.
It's really inspiring to me as a world builder myself in my regular life when I don't have glittery eyebrows on and I'm doing playwriting and things. Well, I mean, most of the time I don't have the glittery eyebrows on. These are Pandabon's invention, but it's really just cool to see people come in to create a project and really just have the buy-in. I believe art is a really collaborative process, and to see that collaboration come full tilt. And also, it's just a really pretty looking Kickstarter. If you scroll down, you can watch the world coming to life. You can look at the pictures. I love the reward descriptions, the little graphics for the world descriptions, and I'm biased to Pelican because that's where Pandabon is from, at least that we know of. And yeah, I just it's so thoughtfully done that you just kind of can't help but fall in love with it. I didn't know a project we love was a thing, but I'm not surprised that it became a project we love. And for all
Yeah,
of
I
you,
was gonna say that was my favorite part of it, right? Like the idea is like I think all of us who have seen some of like Danny's creation because we've been involved in like Clockwork, we had already been exposed to a lot of the cool things about the world. And you know, when you believe in something so much and you feel like a little bit of like a godmother to their parent, and then you can see the child go and get recognitions, and we're just like, yes, we knew it, we knew it. So like just like getting that kind of recognition that yes, this like product, this little child of Danny's is like getting the deserving awards and accolades. Like that's where, you know, you believe in something and you see it come to life. And so like I was so happy to see the products we love, and like I'm like probably annoying all my friends and family out there. We're like, hey, did you see that Kickstarter? Go donate to it. Go back it. You don't want a comic book? Go give it to somebody else. They make great gifts. And like they look at it and they're like, oh wow, this is a lot cooler than I was expecting. I don't know what they were expecting, but my, you know, great aunt Pam can go check it out. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that it's just infectious and it makes other people see it and other people see it and believe it. And like that's my favorite part, is like the energy when other people get behind it.
Absolutely. And knowing that the effort of just the world's been created, right? Caliphus exists now, but there's so much of it that needs to be fleshed out and can grow. And what I'm really excited is like it feels almost like Game of Thrones to me, where like if you really want to know Westeros and the I'm blanking on the land that Danny was in for most of this, and
Essos.
thank you. But like all the languages, and now like there's two language, like you can learn High Valyrian on Duolingo and stuff like that. The amount of work that goes into this world, and the fact that we get to get in on it from the beginning, like that's so exciting for me. And what I think, you know, sells me on the Kickstarter and what level to back at is really taking a look at that and going, man, like this is going to get deep, and I want to get obsessed with this new world that's not mine. And that's
Or you
really
could just be like my husband and be like, I just want free T-shirts. So get us to the level where we get the T-shirts.
yeah, I'm a t-shirt and a mug person. What I really kind of love is there's a little bit of one of my favorite fantasy sci-fi series is the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, where there's a lot of color and humor, but it's also really inventive. It's poignant. That thoughtfulness is just, you can really see it in not just the Kickstarter, but in the things you see. You know, even just in the stretch goal of, we want you to come play in this world. Like we want you to have a good time at the open air graveyard. That was built on the fly, as it were, which is still. I really loved that episode because, you know, Panabon is a real stab heavy character, so to now have a universe in which the stabbing is going to take more work, I think it's really cool to be able to, you know, have all
Growth
that,
for your character.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
all
Yeah,
that fun in the graveyard together.
the rest of us were hoping that the growth would happen in a different direction, but you know.
Well, we can afford some platform boots, maybe, but
well, we're really excited about tonight's episode. What we're going to go through tonight, we actually have some role play that we get to play with. So we're when we left off, you know what? I think I'm going to pick on you, Randy, because you're our resident actor. So I'm going to need you to, you know, clear your mind and take on the persona of one of those, you know, WWE announcers. And I would like you to read what happens in the fight between Flint and the resident champion of this fighting pit.
Got it. All right. Round 1. Two opponents size each other up. Couple of lunges and feints. No winner. As they circle, Flint comes in with a neat trick that hammers Braco hard, sending him stumbling onto the ground. He had to shake the stars out of his head, but was okay. Round 3 goes to Flint.
That was round 2.
Well, round 2 goes to Flint. Sorry. Sorry, the notes are just one, they're connected. Sorry, that's my fault. All right, I had no idea this was happening. All right. Round 3, enraged Bracos just rushes and slams into Flint, lifting him up and slamming him on the ground. Flint looks like he may be out. No! He gets back up, holding up the hand and nodding. He's still in the fight. All right. Round 4. Very close this round. Both combatants are tired. They circle each other, both getting good knocks in. But the round is called for Breako. Breakro?
I don't know.
Breako.
Yeah.
It was Breako.
There's Breako. Okay.
Yeah.
And
It
then
is now.
And now, here we are. Thanks.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny. Danny separated it for me. All right, round 5. Almost the same as round 4, but the Flint goes in with one of his battle tricks. Sadly, he slips on some blood from the elf killer guy, and Breakro pounces, and it's one of those MMA moments where he's swinging. Flint is just guarding. Then Boss Savruti calls it. Breakro remains the champion of the MK Blue Joke Lodge. Sorry. And yes, yeah.
Blood choke.
So, yeah, not happy for us.
Yeah, so we lost all our money. We're broke.
Yeah.
Or at least as far as some of you know, we're broke.
And it's all Flint's fault.
I knew Aegis was going to say that too.
Damn it, Thomas. So
No.
go
He's a
ahead.
nice
Go
guy.
ahead.
No, I'm just saying he's a nice guy. I like Flint.
So really exciting. We're gonna do some role play tonight. So the team returns to the inn, and which is called what? The Drunken Octopus. Is that where we are?
Well,
Alright.
we went to
No,
the Desert Bloom after the Drunken Octopus.
That's right. So the Desert Bloom. And as we're all winding down for the night and socializing or drinking or whatever in the bar, we're hanging out, and some of us are gonna want to have some conversations with each other. So that's how we're gonna kind of split the evening. So just to give our audience kind of a rundown of our agenda tonight, we're gonna have a little convo between Aegis and hold on, my schedule's over here. Aegis and Panna. So that should be fun. Then we're gonna come back after about 15 minutes and share some thoughts on where we are in the story of Like Clockwork so far, as ourselves kind of just talking. And then we're going to have a conversation between Lox and Shay. And then we're going to go on break. And when we come back, we're going to have Aegis and Lox have a little talky talk. And then we're going to do some questions, some Q&A with you, the chat. So if you have any questions about like the characters, backstories, interactions, the world, anything like that, then drop them in chat and we will be answering them then. And then finally, we will have a conversation between Panabon and Perunia, which I think has been a long time coming, and I'm very excited for.
It's needed.
It's much needed.
Only slightly terrified. Panabon has no fear, but I have some fear. One fear.
So let's go ahead and get started. So our first conversation of the night is going to be Panabon and Aegis. So Panabon, you had said that you were the one that wanted to talk to Aegis. So why don't you set up the scene and how you approach Aegis?
Okay, well, I'm not quite as bummed out as everybody else. Everyone's really just dwelling on this whole lack of money thing. And, you know, money's not really a problem. Money is everywhere. You can find money if you need it, right? And so I'm thinking about the errand that I need to run, because in about an hour or so, I need to head back to the alley to my herbalist to get the thing. And I saw Aegis in the hospital. Aegis did not know they saw me. That did not register to me. And yeah, so I just want to kind of know more about what kind of doctor are you? Dr. Ing, Aegis Ing, Dr. Ing? Yes.
So I guess we're all in the tavern at this point, I would assume, and circled up around the table. Aegis is sitting back in his chair, sipping his own tea because he can't afford a drink. Because he doesn't have money anymore. So, not very happy. And we're sitting there, and you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I had kind of some questions about your expertise, as it were. I don't know. Do because physicians and Palanquin tend to have areas of expertise. So, is there something that you kind of focus on as a doctor? Or is it just like I'm going to make sure everybody lives kind of thing?
My father taught me all around internal medicine, healing with herbs. We do some mortuary preparation of the dead, a little of this and that. The Ings run Senzo Hul and Chai Ting. We are responsible for the entire region, so we do not keep ourselves to one particular practice. We practice all.
Fabulous, fabulous. Um, say someone brought you something that they needed to have duplicated in case the thing that they're bringing you works, which is heretofore unknown. But so, say you needed to create a medicine. Are you capable of doing that? Just a generic hypothetical, nothing specific that we're talking about. Just hypotheticals.
You are asking if I have experience as a pharmacist?
Sure, yes. Pharmacist seems like a great word. I don't know if that's the word I want, but yes.
What word were you looking for?
I don't know. So so I went on an errand tonight, and I guess people are gonna find out, so might as well. Um and I went to go see someone to kind of talk about some herbs, specifically to do some work in potentially dealing with the problem of the things that continue to come back to life and annoyingly aren't easy to stab. Um, so I thought to myself, what kind of things could we potentially use to deal with them? That weren't magical, because magic's great and all, but sometimes you just want to stab, right? Well, maybe not you don't want to stab. I want to stab. Um, and so I'm going to be bringing something to you, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to help contain it and possibly duplicate it if it works.
Are you aware that
Is
you never speak in definite statements?
Thank you. Yes, I never do.
How is anyone supposed to know what you want?
Well, usually I just take the things I want. The whole kind of we need money thing is like really new for me. Everyone seems really, really aggravated and pressed about it.
Sip my tea.
Like that. Yes, just like that. Um no, yeah. Oh, here's something you might know. So we're going to be getting on the caravan because I have a lot of faith in us. Um, do you know of any kind of like herbs or things that we could potentially chew that would help us in the desert travel? Like any particular like plants or something that would make the water last longer?
Hmm. I've never dealt with drought before. I'm not sure. It's something that I'm sure that I can study.
Hmm.
It's a good suggestion, though.
Yeah, that's the one bummer because Palacune is a very mountainous. Like there's a little bit of farmland where I have some family at potentially, or maybe I don't. Who knows? But a lot of it is mountainous, and so like the desert thing throws me off a little bit. Lots of sand. I could do with some less sand, really.
I agree. Strangely.
Oh yeah, we agree on something. That's exciting. It's great to agree on things.
It scares me.
So
what?
also,
So what are you asking me for, Panabon?
well, when I bring you something surprising and drop it in your lap, I don't want you to be surprised. And my hope is that if it works, which I'm not really sure what it's going to do, but if it works against the evil undead deadamancy thingies, that you might be able to duplicate it. So we'll have more around. Because I don't even know how much I'm going to get. And if it works, it would be a shame for it to like not continue to be available and to have it continue to work.
I do not promise to not have a negative reaction to you dropping something randomly on my lap. But if you are speaking of some sort of medication or alchemical mixture, I believe that I can achieve it.
Neat. That is what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure.
Were
I think.
you successful in finding any materials for the creation of acid?
Well, I went to somebody and we had a conversation, but I'm not sure what they're going to be giving me is acid. They're going to be
Because you
giving
are
me
not
something
because you make no
else.
definite statements. How do they know what it is you want?
I mean, where I come from, it's not that big a deal. And I'm pretty good at talking with people that know how to talk to me. Like you're talking with me great right now. You're doing a good job. Good job. Good times. Um, and so, like, I don't know if what I'm going to be getting is acid. Like, I'm not really sure. But I've also got some burial incense I kind of want to try to see if the burial incense work. Like, if I stick the incense into the undead creature's eye or something like that and light it, maybe they'll be like, whoa, I'm dead. I need to go back in the ground. So I've also got that as an option, is also
That
what I'm
is
thinking.
scientifically improbable.
I think we're a little bit beyond science now, though. I mean, I stabbed a lot and the thing didn't die. So I'm thinking that there's less and less science happening that's going to be useful. But I would like to be proactive because I'm a proactive person. I'm not known for like sitting around. I'm a very like up and around type. I don't know if you've noticed or anything like that. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I haven't seen it with my own eyes because you are never around, but that shows something.
Well, that's sweet. I can be more around if you want me to be around. I can be around more. I know, because I like me too. So of course I want you to like me. Um, and when we're talking about things we like, I'd love to know more about that shield that I saw you with when we first met. It really captured my eye, and I thought the shield was really cool. Like, does it have any meaning to it? Is it valuable?
It's a shield.
Like sentimentally?
It blocks attacks.
That's
Well,
handy.
the symbol on it is a symbol that I saw in a vision. It is the symbol of Nippoi, and I'll turn it around. And then I don't know. I don't know if everybody can see. I don't know if there's a photo of me somewhere, but there's the symbol of like the gold feathers that kind of look like a swan on it, etched in the center of the shield. I did not acquire the shield this way. I had this commissioned. The
Ooh,
design, that is.
fancy. I do love gold. You know what's great? What's great about gold is that like if you wanted to like do like a visage of Nipoe to scare off people or to invite them, I could like make a mask. And I don't think I could be Nipoe because I'm not a good person. But like you could like have like a physical like representation of Nipoe like doing a dance or something. It could be a lot of fun. You could get really into it.
We'll take that into advisement.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. So also the Ing family, is there a lot of Ing family? Like are we going to be encountering many Ings on our journeys
It
wherever we're going?
it just starts to kind of like get uncomfortable. He's looking at everybody else. It's like, does anybody else want to chime in on this? Are we just gonna let Panagon grill me?
You're
Duh.
on your own, friend.
So where were you before America Dashta?
uh, Mr. Locks and I came from a village called Yordor in Ireland.
I have no idea. Oh, you were in Ireland. Did uh did you happen to notice any people about my height in Ireland running around in like masks? Not like mine, but like other masks potentially?
There were several gnomes there, but none with masks. We were there
Hmm.
briefly. It wasn't exactly a happy journey.
Oh, that's exciting. I've heard good things about Ireland. It's very close to Palacune, as I understand it. I trade with people from Ireland. They're generally very nice people.
Sure, it
They've
depends
got
on your
stuff.
experience.
Yeah. Well, people are generally very nice to me, or I think they're nice to me. It's possible they're not nice and I'm just not picking up on it, but that's okay.
That is quite possible.
Yes. So, are you a little bummed that we don't have any money? Are you like upset about it?
Are you serious? Can't
I
you
mean,
see?
I'm just trying to gauge the atmosphere.
I understand you are not very
offer-
perceptive, but if you could not tell by my body language, I am not happy.
Well, with the Aegis getting more and more stressed and annoyed, let's zoom back out to all of us here. Tom is going to make some adjustments to bring us all back in. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about, what has been your experience with like Clockwork so far, and the world and the story that we've been telling. Why don't we summarize it first for any of our new audience? So what's happened so far? Alex, you want to share?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that in Perunia's mind, okay, so we're gonna hear this from Perunia's perspective. So the way she feels is that we finally have a group of people, and that's going to make us a much better kind of catalyst for change for the group, right? And when I say change for the group, I mean going after all of our individual goals. Because one of the things that's held Perunia back from going and confronting her past is that she didn't feel like she had the strength of numbers to deal with it, right? So now that we've got a group at a home, Perunia is feeling really happy. So to summarize for the group of how we got there, each of us had been kind of grouped up into twos, if you will, with our backstories, where I had met Panabon briefly, but then he had gone out of my life. They had gone out of my life and went with Shay, and I had met Rosalie. And Rosalie and I kind of teamed up, and we started, packaging ourselves as a unit and hiring ourselves out to work. So when we met then Aegis and Lox, which Perunia was really happy about because they're more fighter types that she felt more or less comfortable with, and then having the addition of Panabon, but Shay definitely seems really smart and like is going to be able to give some brains to this operation and maybe help us with financial matters. Don't know, but it feels like to us that where we're at is that we're about to start some journey that's really important for all of us. And when I say important, it's not just to escape from whatever is chasing Shay and Panabon, but to really start that journey of where we start leveling up our characters in terms of better abilities. And better abilities for Perunia means going back to deal with the person who really caused her sister's murder. So like for us, or we're at the journey for Perunia is like the most exciting time because we're finally about to like get off and go.
Awesome. Yeah, for what about for Aegis and Lox? You guys got to travel together to get to Vaishan, which is where our story started, some episodes ago. I don't remember what number we're on. So
I'll let you lead, Randy.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely been a journey. I mean, Lox himself is a guy who hasn't seen the world, and sort of circumstances have thrust him out into the world, and those same circumstances led him to Aegis, but also gave him powers that he's still trying to understand, right? And so I think a lot of the time that he spent with Aegis that we haven't seen has sort of been a way for them to test out some of those abilities. I know Aegis also, you found magic during the preludes, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're both similar in that way because they both have never been away from home. Aegis has spent all of his life just being trained to be a healer and nothing else, and strictly that. So all he knows is really that land. So this is like, I kind of liken it to, when I was trying to think of like conceptually like where his head's at, it's kind of like Luke Skywalker in the middle of the desert. You know what I mean? He's kind of like peering out into the distance, like, what the hell else is there? You know what I mean? I just can't be a moisture farmer all of my life. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where his head was at. Yeah. So everything is kind of like a big shock to him. I play him pretty cold, but like there's a lot going on beneath the surface,
Yeah, and
so.
And I would say that Locks in a lot of ways is sort of same situation, different sort of mindset as to what's going on, because his reason for leaving wasn't his own choice. And it's very much, he feels like this is what will allow him, kind of like Perunia, a chance to make amends for what was going on in the past. And so he wants to be a better adventurer than he is. He has a lot to learn, and he makes a lot of really dumb mistakes. But hopefully, I think that he's slowly going to be becoming more of the hero that he envisions in his head.
And as far as the 3-month span that we were not playing, Randy and I kind of got together and decided that whatever happened in that period of time was like a very traumatic kind of bonding kind of experience. And we were pretty specific about what that was. So that's why when you watch the preludes, Aegis was not on board even joining Fox. You know, there was another person in the group that kind of like made it happen. But then we had to like be like, oh shoot, at 3 months, like I know that you chew with your mouth open at this point. You know what I mean? Like I know that you snore loudly. You know, like all these little tics and stuff. We know that already, so we had to figure that out so that when we arrived on the first day of the game, they have like a bond that they've formed at that point.
Yeah. I love that you guys did that, because that was something, you know, I've only seen Lox's prelude because that's all that's been released so far, before meeting Aegis. And so when we started, like, I actually remember asking you guys, like, are you friends outside of the game? And you were like, nope, don't know each other. But you guys, like, it feels like you guys have that like connection and that banter and that like friendship going. So it's really cool that you guys did that. I think it adds a lot to the stream.
Yeah, once I knew that I was gonna have a partner in it, like I started to like correspond pretty often in text and Facebook and all that stuff, just to, I don't know, I'm a real lore guy, like with most things. Like I'm one of those people who gets pissed off when somebody gets it wrong, like when they do like a adaptation of a video game into a movie, and I'm like, no, that's not it at all. Like, why don't you just follow the core? You know. So I wanted our like backstory, like as far as what we did. I wanted us to get it together, because I would be frustrated with myself if I like watched it and be like, but that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? I wanted to get that right.
Yeah.
You
know? And if there's one thing I can add to that, it's just that I think Danny did a great job of sort of setting all of that up, because I think the way that our characters were introduced to each other, though they didn't like each other at first, it really did become easier to sort of think that, hey, you know, they're both slightly awkward socially. They both show that in different ways. And I think it's definitely fun that they have this sort of bond now that, like, and it's more circumstantial, I think, and that was a lot of Danny's great storytelling, which is why it's so awesome to be a part of this.
Plus we're both together, and then we separate and go talk to ourselves in the corner. Like
So John, talking to John and not Panabon, which is so exciting for me.
Panajon.
I'll give you actual answers and use complete sentences and periods.
Explain to me how you ended up here. Like, without Panabonning it, what is like the journey that Panabon has taken to get to this point? I feel like Panabon's the one I understand least out of the group.
Panabon doesn't understand themselves. Generally, when I play D&D or Shadowrun, tabletop type games, I play more mature characters, sometimes very stoic, sometimes very powerful. I've never actually played a character whose arc is not seeking revenge, but seeking maturity. And they don't even know that they're seeking it yet.
Damn, John, that's deep.
Panabon is doing like you're meeting a very, he's only, Panabon, they are only, I think I said 23 or something like that. They're very young. And so they've made mistakes in their life. And really, the prelude, the second episode of the prelude with Shay, is the first time they've made an active decision to not just leave and do something on their own. Like, even the decision to join the group was based on the bowl incident, which is something that Panabon was like, the reason they were so quick to join up with the group without hesitation was because they got palmed, essentially. Like they got a bull and and it was just like a click in Panabon's mind of it can't just be the two of us because I'm becoming more vulnerable the longer we're on the road.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of stuff kind of going on in the background that I don't know where Danny has it, but I'm aware of it all like in the back of my head of the things that like when Panabon asks about people in porcelain masks, like there's a very specific thing happening with that I don't want to give away, but it's kind of like an exciting like so I'm doing a character that's going to mellow over time, and although they are a rogue thief, so I can't promise declarative sentences. Um, but it's just one of those things where I want to go from stabbing is the thing that I do when I'm not like performing, to like something where it's more of like it's a good like it's not going to just be a hassle where it's like stabbing in the marketplace happens and there's Panabon kind of thing. So
I want to.
So
Oh,
go ahead.
I want to say, like, I know that we're very hard on Panabon, but I absolutely love the character because I love chaos. I like that, like, it'd be a flat line all of a sudden, and you'll just change it up, and I love that. So I just want to make that clear because we're very hard on Panabon,
well,
like
and
in
you
and out of
should be. You
character.
should be. Like Panabon left to their own devices will be like, "Oh, is that the High Priest Bible? I'll go and steal the High Priest Bible." Yeah.
Just you
If you
saying that.
Yeah, if you look on World Amble, I talk about it as one of the things is that stole such and such high eminence's vase, and the subtext is just because they could, like not for any particular reason. So
So how is it like? How do you approach? So you're a playwright in real life, and Randy as an actor, like role play is improv, and the fundamentals of improv is yes and. So like, how do you approach this character that is like the antithesis of yes and to some extent, but how do you play that in a way that you can still move the plot and the story forward without just running in circles and infuriating, your fellow players and stuff like that? What's your approach to that?
I mean, I do infuriate I infuriate myself sometimes because I'm like, I don't know, I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. It's actually kind of like Panabon's ambition is very superficial right now because the life they had when they were younger that they got duped into leaving, so they never got like to learn how to mature. So right now it's very baseline. I think it's called ego, not id, where it's all just kind of like out there, outside the
Mhm.
head. And so when Panabon's like, I'm just gonna steal the camels, why can't we just steal the camels? Like it's Panabon just not thinking through things because Panabon doesn't think they have a reason to or a need to. Um, and also improv is very hard for me. So like, I don't know. I enjoy playing a character I don't agree with about 2/3 of the time. Um, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing with all of you, and I'm glad that you all enjoy Panabon on a personal level.
I
If the character doesn't make you absolutely
well,
nuts.
I think that's what's really interesting too is, we got bonded through our preludes, for better or worse, whether or not we wanted to. So what's interesting is coming into this as Shay, who's an optimist. She's young, she's naive, she's hopeful, she's excited about the world around her, but also has a lot to fear. And the fact that we've been traveling together for several months now, and it's not just the fear of what's chasing us, but it's the fear of what Panabon's going to get them into. And like she's tired. So part of why like this group is meaning so much to Shay so quickly is that she, just like what you said with Panabon's realizing they need help. And Shay is like, I can't keep at this pace. We're gonna lose. We're gonna get tired. We're gonna make mistakes. And so we need this help. So she's really relying on these people. Uh, and she's young. She's 18. So and she was in school. Like adults have more answers than she does, right? But then like she's also having to take care of these adults that are not responsible, and like she was like, good, now there's someone else that can take care of us, and it's, she's still feeling like she has to take care of
Other
them, but I
people.
think that's
Yeah.
part of that give and take of that growth, and that's what's
Mhm.
really interesting too.
And I was really excited when Shay was just yelling at Panabon the last episode, because I feel like that really happened, like in Shay's brain a couple of times on the road, and this was like actually verbalizing the
Yeah.
frustration that I can only imagine that you feel with the chaotic force.
Well, and it's also Shay's very black and white. It's good and it's evil. But like now she's met Panabon, which is
It
very
was
gray.
essentially a gnomish Catwoman is how I describe
Well,
Panabon. Is
and
a
what's
gnomish
hard
Catwoman.
is she knows that like Panabon is the reason she's still alive right now. Running together, having an ally, having someone that can steal so that they can eat and keep running and live. But like, so she's got that survival instinct, but like what Panabon's doing, she doesn't agree with. So like how to look the other way and balance like that's been a real mental challenge for her too. So but it's been really interesting to play this out with all of you and see like Lox, I thought you were going to be like one of the more responsible ones, and then the episode I wasn't in, Perunia was like, I'm going to go to the fighting pits and you guys can all gamble on me, and you were like, I think, and I was like, okay, here's some reason. That's a great idea. And I'm like,
Great. Brunia was so happy about that.
so really love playing with all of you guys and love hearing your experiences and feedback with this. But
And
it is
Sarah, you
time.
haven't gotten out of it. We are going to come back to this later. We want to hear Shay's reason for being here. So we're going to put a pin on Shay. Still going to have to talk about that later.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Remind me, because I might forget. But it is time to go into another conversation. So Lox and Shay are going to have a little conversation at the inn. Meanwhile, while Panavon and Aegis have been talking. So Lox, this was the one you requested. So you're going to approach Shay. Is that cool?
I am going to. So Lox is sort of listening to the beginning of what I assume is the conversation between Panabon and Aegis, and he knows it's not going to go well. Like he knows Aegis is going to have to like talk about something later, but he thinks it's a good opportunity to pull Miss Shayloon to the side a little bit, and he just wanted to say, I still can't believe our luck tonight. But I wanted a moment away from your other friend who likes to get us in trouble. I wanted to know a little bit more about you guys. Like, why? I know you said something about you faced these undead before. You've found that you got these amazing abilities. I just want to know a little bit more about how I can help keep you guys safe.
Well, I'm just really grateful to have you guys and to have people willing to help. There's a lot more darkness in the world than I knew when I was back home. But that gentleman, or I guess he's not a gentleman, he's a bad man, that Perunia and Rosalia also ran into, Artaris. He's a deadomancer, and so is the high priest of Flanopafel, which makes this a huge, terrible thing, like messing with life and death, and not just bringing people back, but when I found out what Arturus was, there was a person who was killed on a circle. So they're committing murder for this magic, and magic isn't supposed to be that. It's been something beautiful that's been gifted on the world, and people are taking it for granted and taking advantage of it.
Uh, be honest with you, Shayloon. I don't get this magic stuff. It's all new. It's both terrifying and exciting at the same time. And I'll let you in on a little something. I began traveling a few months ago where I met the guy with the big shield. And a lot of it, since the moment that I came across magic, it's all felt like there's something that I've got to do. Right? And I don't know what that something is, and I don't know why, but something led me to you guys, to you, to Panabon, to the group. And there's a voice that I've heard telling me not to let go of you guys. And I know it's scary, but you are stronger than you even understand. I've seen you shoot magic all across a field of dead bodies, knocking whatever off its feet. You're amazing. And the fact that you guys have been able to survive and do all the things that you've done, it just makes me want to tip my hat to that. But I want you to know, you don't know me from Adam, but I'll do what I can.
Thank you, Mr. Locks.
Locks is fine.
She kind of blushes a little, and it means a lot to have you all, and you're all strong and powerful and big, and we've been so tired. We've been running for so long, and whatever it is or they are, they keep finding us, and I'm not sure without finding all of you that we would have made it much longer.
I can tell you, you say we're big and strong. I'm still trying to figure out everything myself. I put on a big front like I know what's going on, but obviously I don't. I'm part of the reason we lost our money tonight. I'm the reason my father is alone, getting taken advantage of by people back home, and I can't go home. But there's something. What?
Sorry.
No. It. What I'm trying to say is this. I think you're stronger than you think you are, and I've definitely, just from watching you, I'm learning. And so I think that by being together, it gives us the strength that we're all looking for. So, yeah, I know we are still trying to figure out how we're gonna get on this caravan tomorrow, but I bet you with this group of people out there, I'm sure we're gonna make it.
I think so too, and I'm really excited to learn from you guys, and Aegis, even though seems so not angry, he seems very Aegis, but I'd love
Said
to
it better
learn from
myself.
him. Well, I'd love to learn from him. I hope he warms up to us. I know he'd prefer to not be with us.
I don't think that's true.
Well, he
Aegis is a bit strange, hard to read. Now, I mean, I'll be the first to know that, but the fact that he's still here speaks volumes. Aegis does what Aegis thinks is right, He cares deeply about a lot of people. I mean, anybody who does medicine is like that, right?
That makes sense.
And I think that Aegis cares about all of us. Maybe he doesn't show it as much, but if he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be. That's what I'll say.
What do you think of Panabon and not Panabon, Perunia and Rosalia having an elf? Elves are real?
I've only ever heard of them in stories, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it.
But I've seen what she can do, and it's
No,
not
yeah.
anything any other.
No, you're right. You, she's powerful as well, and I've got a feeling that she's a big part of what will help us understand what's going on, because her people have known magic for much longer than you and I. I also think Perunia is a pretty strong fighter. I know just got it handed to her, but sometimes we all get knocked down a couple times. And when we get back up, that's when the real fight begins. So
I've never had a dragonborn friend before, and I think she's really neat, but I'm really annoyed with her habits tonight. We'd have money if it wasn't for her overconfidence and gambling. That was foolish.
you had to live your life the way that she has. No, right? Like, you come from a different place, from a different world. I do too. I don't know what being a dragonborn is like, but what I can tell you is that the strength she's had in the ring is some of the happiest I've ever seen her. Right? She's able to take a licking and deliver it right back to people. She's a bit of a show off. But that's when I've seen her put her heart into whatever she's doing the most, right?
I think you're right, and I can't imagine taking the hits she took and getting back up.
There's something about that girl that's never gonna stop. Not until she does whatever she's looking to do. I honestly still need to know more about it. I can tell you that we had a long talk that night when we first saw those undead, because
Yeah,
seeing nightmares.
Mr. Locks,
Thank you.
about what you said, I don't know where you stand with the gods or the lack thereof or anything, and I don't even know where I stand with since discovering magic and how that's changed everything. But I hope that you're right, that we all were brought together for a reason, and that not just for Panabon and I to stay alive, but I mean, I like that very much, but maybe if you're right and we were brought together for a reason, maybe it's to stop this deadomancy. Maybe it's to stop Arturus or the High Priest or I just maybe there is a stronger reason, a higher reason that we're together.
Same feeling. So
Well,
no,
uh,
go ahead.
I have lots of notes and if you, I know magic can be a little scary, but I'd be happy to share what I know with you, and I think maybe if we all share the knowledge we have, we'll be wiser together and make better decisions and be able to fight harder and stay alive longer.
I agree. But also, beyond just magic, I think you, and I'm just putting this lightly, I think you are the brains of this operation. So when you feel like you need to say something, don't hesitate. You're smarter, you're stronger, you bring a lot to this group and we need to hear it. And I know that's not always easy. But yeah,
Thanks.
I'm always listening.
Thank you, Lox. It's hard sometimes to shout over bigger voices. But I thank you.
No problem. I think we should join the group again before they notice we're gone.
All right. I'm I did manage to reserve a penny or two for a drink if you'd like one.
I sure would.
She'll scramble over to the bar and clamber up onto a stool and place an order for us.
Yes. All right.
Awesome. All right, with that, we're going to zoom back out. Oh, that was so fun. Also, I had to try really hard not to be like, she totally hugs you. All right, so we are back. Lox and Shay just had their talk. Sorry, I have to look at my schedule to know where I am. It is 8 o'clock, so we are going to take a little break. Don't forget, if you haven't checked out the Kickstarter, please do. remalternus.com/kick. And we'll drop that in the chat. We are at over $8,000. We're inching up on our first stretch goal, so please help us get there. You will get access at the first stretch goal to all of the maps, tokens, NPCs, anything that you need to run your own adventure around issue 1 of the comic book. So really exciting stuff. But in the meantime, we'll catch you back here in about 15 minutes. Thank you all so much. Welcome back, everyone. Good to have you. We just took our little halfway point break. We are here today not with a normal episode, for those who have just joined us, but with a special little intermediary episode where we talk in character and have some fun conversations between us to get to know each other better, and then take little breaks and talk to you guys as well. So before the break, we had a conversation between Panabon and Aegis, or Panabon at Aegis, perhaps. And then we had Lox and Shay. And now we're going to break right into a conversation between Aegis and Lox. So we'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, I want to push the timeline forward. This will probably take place in the room when we're like settling down for the night.
Sure.
So, a turn in for the night. I'm not sure at what point you would decide to do so. I know you like to be a little more celebratory and jovial. So at some point, Aegis has a very strict sleep schedule. So he has the opportunity to actually follow that right now. So he takes off and he goes upstairs.
Yeah. I think Lox, on any normal occasion, would probably try to stay up. I mean, he's been tired all day. He needs a rest anyway, so he's actually heading in a little bit earlier than he normally does. And that's when I imagine, like, he walks in and you're in your routine as normal.
Yeah.
So
Has everyone settled down for the evening?
I'm not quite sure if everybody's gonna settle down now, but I sure am, because I felt like crap all day long.
I can't imagine how anyone would achieve a long evening with no money.
It sounds like you've got some opinions around that, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm not a bettor.
Yeah, obviously neither are we. But it does seem like nobody's lost money before on bets. This is something that happens. You win some, you lose some. It's life.
I find it best to not make bets or gamble with life.
Yeah, but what else would you have said we do, Aegis?
That's a good point. How are you?
Whoa. You're asking how I am.
Of course. How are you doing? And I don't mean how you are physically. I can tell that you are in good health.
I understood what you meant. It's just I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around all of this, you know? Like we're here in Mercadashta, we are heading out tomorrow somehow. We're supposed to be joining a caravan without pack beasts. Like we're traveling around with 2 gnomes, an elf, and a dragonborn. So I guess I'm doing all right.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Do you believe that this is the right path for us to take? Are you certain about that?
I am, Aegis. Are you?
I am not so sure.
Then
The people that we have chosen to travel with, I'm not sure they have our interests in mind.
all right.
The one woman who believes that she is an elf, tonight she murdered a man, very gory. Blood splatter everywhere. She even took his ears.
You did see that he was threatening to take hers, right?
He was busy bandaging Perunia.
So, and I've never seen anyone do that to someone collecting ears in that way for like, and saying that they're elf ears, right? She's speaks languages, understands magic, has this mysterious aura around her that I can't explain. I think she's the real deal, my friend. And I know you're skeptic. I can see it in your face. But hear me out. You and I came here following signs, trying to figure out what Neepo and what the voices that I've been hearing when they do say anything have been saying, right?
Mhm.
We've ridden boats and visited little villages and fought. There's nobody else that I'd rather have on this trip with me right now. But I also feel like it'd be better if it wasn't just you and me. Our friends here, and I say friends because I had a conversation with Miss Shayloon tonight, and it sounds like they need some people to help.
This little one, Shayloon, she lit an entire block on fire, just yards away from rickety wooden buildings. An entire block. And the other, Panabon, they are never around, and when they are around, they brandish a knife as often as you brandish your hat. Perunia, who seems
Scripture
to
I can get down with. I like it.
Perunia, she seems to be the most logical of them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that she finds me unreasonable for defending her against a man that just beat her to a pulp moments before. These people will be the death of us.
I think it's that. Aegis. You know how when we were traveling, I said that sometimes the way you try to communicate to people doesn't always come off the way you mean it to?
I speak exactly as I mean.
Well, some people like a little more tact in the way that they deal with other people. And they're not used to people being as blunt and honest as you. Now, that's not a problem. I think maybe our friends here could use some people to speak some sense. But what I also want to say is that I think there's something you and I can learn from these people as well. Miss Shayloon, for example, set the block on fire. Yeah. she's trying to figure out her life. The magic was just showing up to her, and she's trying to figure it out as we go. Panabon, I don't know what's going on with Panabon, and I can't even begin to understand that. But there are people out there trying to kill them, right? We were attacked in a tavern full of people. If we just let the two of them, just leaving it with them, Shayloon and Panabon, if we let them go, it's only a matter of time. The dead are walking, my friend. And who is better to handle that than someone who's got the powers of, as you say, your god? They need a shield, Aegis. That could be you.
For bringing us this far, I owe you a debt of honor. And if you say that this is the thing that we should do, I will follow you to an end. But if you say as well, we can leave them right now and go to Istapanur and help your father. Whatever decision you make, I will follow you, my friend.
Aegis. You know there's nothing more I want than to go home. But if I were to go home right now, I'd just be putting the people I care about in more danger. I need to understand what's going on, and I need to understand how we can bring down some of the people that are running these things. And I really, truly, deep down believe that these people that we're getting to know, that they've got some answers. Even if you don't believe that Rosalia is an elf, she's already proven to be one of the strongest fighters I've ever seen in my life.
That I will agree.
If I could learn some things from her, learn some things from all of them, and when we are ready to go back to Istapanur, I'm sure we'll be able to take it all down. Friend. And I mean that. I think we should stay. And I ask you, not because of some honor that you've got, but I ask you as someone who I believe is doing what they think is right, I ask you to stay with me. Please.
Kind of sit back in my chair a bit. Did you eat while you were down there?
No, because I'm poor again.
Shuffle through my bag and I pull out my bag of stress eating peanuts. This is the best we have for now. We should sleep. We have an early morning.
Yeah, and Lox knows that there's nothing that he can do to turn it down, so he reluctantly grabs a peanut because he knows Aegis will keep trying to give it to him. Thanks.
You see Aegis pull off his hairband, and his hair just falls down to the middle of his back. Good night, my friend.
Good night. Good night.
See.
Awesome job, guys. I love the scene. So damn, Aegis, dropping the, well, we could stay with these idiots, or I'll go with you to take you home to your dad. We were like,
I was not prepared for that.
I mean, it makes sense for what Aegis would say, but I was also like, whoa.
As soon as you guys had that conversation about what I thought, I was like, yes.
And,
I already
you
had
could ask
notes.
Panabon. Panabon would be like, sure, we go to Istapanur. Anywhere that's not Islandland, I'm okay with. Like, seriously, anywhere that's not Islandland. Like, let's just get on a boat. Let's go.
Yeah.
wow, that was well done. Well, chat, this we wrapped that scene a little bit early, but so that gives you an extra couple minutes, because this next segment is all about questions that you guys have for us, about the world, the characters, the stream, the comic book, the Kickstarter, whatever you want to ask, we are here to help you with that. So I kind of think it's funny because Bree just messaged me and said, "What's been up with Twitch recently?" So I can answer that. I don't know. Lately, the streaming has been rough. So Twitch has been having more tickets entered in terms of things going wrong. So I'm not sure what's been going on, but
It's working now.
chaos.
That's
Yeah, there must be Panabons in the wiring. I don't know.
good.
It happens.
I'll tell you what
Uh,
I think it is. I have a theory. So
What's
I
your
have a theory that they're going through contract negotiations with companies like AWS or the cloud platform about where their servers are being hosted. And suddenly, when that happens, for some reason, things just start to not work correctly. And oh, geez, are you sure you don't want to pay for some more space? And that's just my 2 cents, but I've seen it happen.
Damn. Well, I've learned today that Alex is cynical as shit.
True story.
I love
that
it.
about you.
Yeah, I'll do. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I didn't learn that today. I've known that for a while. Awesome. So, chat, what questions do you have for us? Feel free to drop them in. In the meantime,
Hey, you owe us your backstory.
oh,
Yeah,
sure.
Oh
that's
yeah,
my
that could be in
question.
the meantime.
I could. Yeah, I'll start with that. So, yeah, Shay had this happy life in Ireland. She loved her parents, still lived at home, and was was going to school. So as soon as she found out she had powers, which she had always wanted, kind of a life of adventure and to be more and do more and understand more. Her parents are tinkerers, and so she's got that skill, but it wasn't really something she wanted to follow in. But she didn't really have a vision of where she wanted to be, but she studied hard. So she, when the storm dissipated and magic was released, she was lucky enough to be one that was touched by it. So she started going to the university in Ireland to study magic, and had a professor that kind of became her mentor and studied with her individually as well. And so they were learning a lot and practicing more and more. And she took all of her notes and she studies hard. She's very much a creature of routine too. She wakes up, she studies, she has breakfast, she studies, she has lunch, you notice the trend. And when she's walking anywhere, she's usually pretty distracted and tinkering with something as she walks. But when she's been so worried and fearful that she's very behind, which she doesn't enjoy either. So she's been using she had been learning and everything from the professor, and one day there were a couple of bullies that had been like teasing her in the street and stuff like that, and then she saw a little creature, and that was Minya. And so Minya takes off on the rooftops, and these bullies take off after it, and like Minya ended up getting hurt, and so Shay used her magic to try to get them away from Minya, and finally did, and took Minya to her professor, and Minya was too hurt and wasn't going to make it. So her professor did a ritual with her to transfer Minya's spirit into a physical object so that Minya's spirit wouldn't die even if her body would. And that's how Minya became her familiar. And I can't remember, I don't have my spell book right here, which has all my writings, but Minya is short for the really long name that means little fighter in Gnomish. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna find it. Here we go, guys. I've got the spell book. I just rearranged my desk so I have it close by. So the professor's name is Professor Barungan. And this is in Najasaken, which is the country in Ireland. The city is Deserin. And the Noble University of Deserin is said Liahared Shishil Deserin. And Minya is Min Royaha, which means little fighter.
Yeah. I do understand wanting to make that shorter though as well.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna go with Minya.
Yeah, so I think one of the questions that was asked is about the system, right? So what system are we using to play this
Yes.
game?
Does someone else want to cover that? So I'm not talking the whole time.
No, we're using 5e, right? Basically.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well,
Thanks,
I
Agent.
think we're using 5e, but we're also using the open license for for Dungeons and Dragons, which is what makes it really important because that's what allows us to be able to both create the world and to have other people, play in it to like give materials for that. So, you may have noticed if you've watched any of the streams before that, Shayloon doesn't call magic missile, and we're like playing around with like naming spells or like finding spells, which has to do with open license, making sure we keep sort of the flavor of a lot of the things that are in there and changing what we have to make it work.
Yeah. I think that's part of what's exciting too is when we fight something, like if we're gonna fight a doppelganger, like, okay, I know what that is. But now when Danny describes something and it's not going to be called a doppelganger, and like, so I don't know what it is and he can change anything about it. So I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Is it going to kill us? I don't like it.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
I like that our subclasses were created from scratch because I had a little bit of like input on that. And so that was real fun to help like create and kind of animate my character that way. So yeah, it's 5e, but all the subclasses, for the person who asked the question, are all homebrews. I think for the most part, all of us have like homebrew subclasses, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think also, oh, sorry, but
no, go ahead.
I like that since we are like magic is new to the world. It's not that just that we're like renaming the packaging, but like we can change how certain spells work if we need to for the narrative, but also like we are discovering it. So like if magic has never exists, that's why dedomancy became a thing, because it's like, well, there is no word for this. Like it doesn't exist. So I think that's some of what's really cool too.
Yeah. And it'll be in the comic, hopefully.
Well, I mean, that's so, I mean, obviously this happens with a lot of homebrews, but what's different about this for me is the fact that as a player, I get to help shape it. I feel like with like homebrews that I've played in before, it's usually been just the GM being like, hey, this is the world we're playing and this is what your rules are. These are the limitations you have, go. Whereas this is very much like Danny saying, hey, these are what's going on in the world. This is all of these things. And this is what my idea for this is. What ideas do you have that can make this work, right? I mean, I was able to talk about like Istapreneur culture and some of my ideas, like maybe down the line will mean something. But like that's something super awesome that I've never experienced in any of the games I've played.
Yeah. One of the things I really like too about like Clockwork, and again, like for the community that's backing the Kickstarter that gets in on the World Anvil and stuff and can make some of these suggestions, like I just dropped an update for the Kickstarter and included one of the maps in there, but there's also a map being created now for the open grave that happened in like Clockwork. So the fact that like just from a conversation that you have with the creator through World Anvil or a recommendation or suggestion or an idea or anything, it could turn into something that actually shows up in the comic, in the materials, in the supplements, in like Clockwork. And I think that's so cool.
And like honestly, we pushed Danny's limit. So like when he was giving us all the races that we could do, he never said you couldn't do anything. So like the fact that Leah's an elf, so he had discouraged elves because they weren't native to the world, but he's like, but if you really wanted him, okay. And Leah was like, I'm just not drawn to some of these other characters, but I'm really drawn to the aesthetic of elves and their backstory. And Danny's like, okay. I fully expected Danny to be like, you know what, let's make it a halfling, or something that made a little bit more sense to the world. No, he's like, okay, and then went and created an entire backstory for elves, right? Like that was like amazing. And so what I'm saying is no matter how outlandish open graveyard your suggestions are, they might still find a way in.
Well, and how Danny said the orc pirates are because of Kendermage, who's in our community and knows Danny outside of in the real world. And Hal mentioned something about dwarves in passing at a meeting we have, and now that's something that's going to be happening with dwarves, which I think is really cool. So
But something
just
really
awesome.
great for me was that when we were talking about the preludes, like things were kind of planned out, so we kind of knew where we had to get, and now it's all unknown. So like the conversation that I had with the lady herbalist, whose name I've forgotten because I never write anything down because I'm a horrible person. Like that happened organically because that was not what I was expecting, but I was
Madame
still able
Besley,
to figure out what I
I
wanted.
believe is her name. Madame Besley.
Madame Besley, yeah, something like
I
that.
believe so.
And so I had this whole thing where I was going to use Split the Veil to like knock stuff off shelves and like stab the proprietor and steal everything we needed. Totally off course now,
Jesus.
but it still worked out.
Holy shit!
Panabon is a very get things done type of person, type of gnome, you know.
Panabon, holy shit, wreck is
Yes. Yes.
One thing that was important for me as a queer person was to have a gender queer character, and that's something that we've talked a little bit about. Is that even for me as the person playing a character with they them pronouns, remembering to use they them pronouns for the character I created has been a really interesting thing to think about. Just in character creation alone, how much gender can sometimes come into play in some of kind of the boxes that we expect from our role playing. So.
I really like that too, because like it's been a struggle for me because I know you, John, as he, him, and then when we play, I have to like code switch to they, them. And so that's been a challenge. But I really like that we have this opportunity to practice that. Like
It's a challenge.
like, you know, our intentions are good. It's okay to make mistakes if you own them. So the way we correct each other and stuff like that is like, shit, yeah, them. Like,
I have to correct myself. I'm like, oh no, I did.
Yeah. But I love that Danny made an inclusive world with this too. That's really great.
That's what I really wanted to talk about. I mean, I've been I mean, obviously I am also a part of the LGBTQ community. I also like am African American and Latino, and like knowing that when Danny started talking about like the races of the world and like the people and what their cultures were like, there was something that could resonate, I feel like, with so many different people. And then even if there was something that wasn't there, Danny would have been 100% open to be like, okay, well, I love this idea. Like one of the things that I was thinking about for the Istapreneur people, just like culturally, is that like because they live out in like the frontier lands, like they're really big into storytelling, for example, right? And I took that directly from like African like native cultures. I was like, hey, people sitting around fires and speaking with each other and building those bonds, like they tell stories and pass history down in a different way. And I remember being like, it came out so organically in working with Danny to create that part, right? And that's the thing, like D&D has been making great strides to be more inclusive, right? Like I think we all know that, anyone who plays tabletop games, but there's still work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like creating a world where it's so easy for so many different people who identify in so many different ways to just make a character and be authentically them makes it such a great and easy game to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And one of the things, so we have another interview that's going to be released probably this week. I need to edit it. But Danny did an interview with Izzy, who we talked about during the Kickstarter stream. Izzy is 9 years old. She plays D&D, and she's got Mexican heritage. And so when she saw the comic book, she was like, Danny made a comic about me, which was just precious. And so Izzy wanted to interview Danny. So we were like, absolutely, Izzy can interview Danny. So we did this interview, and some of the questions Izzy asked, and like Danny, is trying to keep it light, but also real. And so, like, part of what he gets into is he starts talking about, like, well, we wanted to include everyone so that, you with Mexican heritage can feel like you're represented in the world, and you have a heroine that you can follow. And not only that, but Amari is not a neurotypical thinker. So we're going to talk about people who don't think the same way but still have value in these communities, and with what they do, autism and ADHD and anxiety and all these different elements to bring into this world, because that's what makes it real and that's what makes these people real. And I really love that Danny
Yeah.
is working that in, because to me, like, I want to be an ally, but I'm also terrified to be a good ally, where it's like I don't want to misspeak and misrepresent someone, but it's okay if you're willing to learn from that and take in, and sometimes it's just like I don't have the energy to, or I don't know how, or I don't know how to have that conversation. And so the fact that he's taken that on is I'm just really impressed by that.
Yeah, big responsibility.
It is. Um,
So
Lex,
there is another.
thank you.
Yeah, there is another question.
Okay.
I think it's what was the opening goal or thesis in the world building? Like, why build this?
That's an awesome question. I think Danny would be able to cover that a lot better than I could. From the interviews and the talking to Danny that I've done, this is something that's been stewing for a long time. And he thought about telling it in different mediums, or like a novel or something like that. But the art that came with this, and representing and talking to a talented artist that he had kind of been able to build a, a conversation with, was a big piece of it. And then I think really what Danny was in love with was the story of Amari and Drum in this world, and having a steampunk world that he's a big fan of, and fantasy, which he's a big fan of. And this is totally inspired by TTRPGs, which he's said like this is what it's rooted in. But I think that was the story that it started with, because Kaelifis is still being built. So it's not like he's had this for 20 years and has been stewing on it for like, and this is how elves are going to work and what their cultures are like. And this is like, all of this has kind of been created around this initial story that he wanted to tell. That's about as good as I think I can do with with that question.
I think you can see too in the graphic novel itself, the comic book. I don't know if we're calling it comic book. I call it a graphic novel.
It will
but
eventually be a graphic novel, but
Yes.
an issue is a comic book, is my understanding. And eventually, when it's in like 100 issues or whatever, it'll be a.
He says
That's
comic too, so
Yeah.
that's why the cue that I follow.
So I think for me, something I loved about the comic as I watched it being built was that the art had more of a manga sensibility than a Western. So it was a lot more visually. It was less about the words. They were still there, but it was more of but the panels were bigger. They had kind of a different feel to it. It's hard to explain without seeing it, like live and in person. But there's something visually about it that really helps to understand the world building. You get a sense of the space, you get a sense of the unknown, you get a sense of both the playfulness and the danger. One of the things that I was like coming in, I was like, I really want to avoid kind of the tropes, because like some of those tropes are really heavy in fantasy, steampunk, sci-fi, and like Danny was like, no, this is thought out. This is what we're doing, and there was just so much excitement there, and just the panels themselves are so well thought out and thoughtful, and I think beautiful. And I really want to make the second stretch goal where we get them in color, because I have a family member that deals with their anxiety by doing comic strips that I would like to actually have them see this like beautiful original product in color. So I'm selfishly pushing for the second stretch goal for me and for them.
Help us get
but
there.
yeah.
We're at 8,000, just over 8,000. So if we hit 10,000, the first stretch goal will be released, which means you get TTRPG content, maps, tokens, NPCs, more, all released to everyone who's a backer. And then 15,000 is our goal for getting everyone who's pledging at $10 or above gets the comic, whether digitally or physically. If we hit 15, everyone who's already pledged for those rewards will get it in color automatically. So that's huge. So please,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Will the variant come in color as well?
Yep.
If you get the variant.
Yeah. So the cover will be colored no matter what. So whichever version you get, the normal version or the artist rendering alternative cover, or both.
The classic and the variants.
Yes, those will be in color, but the rest of the comic itself would be in black and white. So we want to be able to pay a colorist to do the whole thing. So that's why it's the $15,000 stretch goal. I think it's absolutely doable. If you haven't pledged, please do so. If you have pledged, but you've been thinking about upping to get both covers or whatever the case may be,
or an extra T-shirt,
or
That's what I did.
create another NPC, Randy.
I'm saving right now for potentially making another. So yeah, be ready.
All right. Well, that's our Q&A segment. I'm sure we'll have more of these. We're going to do a stream again, an all-day stream for the end of the Kickstarter as well. But for now, we're 5 minutes behind, so we'll go over. I'm fine with that. But we have another conversation that's going to happen that I've been looking forward to. So Perunia wants to have a little talky talk with Panavan. So I'll let you guys set the scene and take it away.
So I think the way that I would approach this with Panaban, who I haven't seen all night, Panaban, would be to invite them up to the roof with me. I know that they like being on ceilings anyway, so I feel like what I'm going to talk about is a little uncomfortable. So having a good feeling that nobody's listening to us is going to be important. So I invite Panaban to come join me on the roof.
And I'm not automatically suspicious of being invited to one of my favorite places. It doesn't feel like anything is going to be, I'm not being buttered up for anything, but I actually want to be on the roof because I have, in my brain, been thinking since I left the herbalist about a couple of things that make me a little anxious in a couple of different ways that might be good to share. Might be good to have a second pair of eyes out for, especially such a capable and, may I say, lovely fighter as Perunia.
Now who's doing the buttering?
Yes, gonna head up to the roof and just kind of jump up on the roof and go, hello, and kind of look around at the buildings around because you never know who's on a roof.
So Perunia, it's been, also I'm exhausted still technically, and I'm looking around the scene and I said, wow, it is really a gorgeous view. I don't think I was expecting this kind of view from the desert bloom.
Yeah, I just would not look down into the alleyways. That'll ruin it for you. But no, it's lovely for a desert. It's not mountains, but what is.
Smell is not quite as bad from the roof too of the alley.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's one of the pleasantries of being on the roof.
So I noticed you weren't at the fights tonight. What have you been up to, Panaban?
Me? Nothing. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt after we were done at the graveyard, I was a little miffed because things were not dying easily, even though I was stabbing them. And so I thought it would behoove me to be slightly proactive and seek potential alternate means of stabbing in a different way that isn't magic, because as much as I enjoy people using magic and me not dying, I feel like kind of sick of magic. Like, I know it's like a new thing, but I'm a little sick of it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel it's really dishonoring, kind of the trade that I do in stabbing. Like I'm slightly annoyed by it.
Uh, I mean, yes. I will say though, you handled the dead creatures better than I did. I mean, I came back and drank all night with Locks because I couldn't get the sight of those dead bodies like out of my mind. So the fact that you're taking proactive steps, that we'll have to discuss what those are still probably better in the way than Locks and I handled it as she cradles her head.
Yes. Well, not to give you further nightmares, but the particular, and I'm not actually sure it's undead, but the particular undead that I encountered um, after Shay almost set me on fire in jail, which is kind of fun. Fun story. You should ask her about it sometime. I'm
Yeah.
sure she'd love to tell you about it. Yeah, this undead didn't have hands and had a really long tongue.
That's
And
why you
once
keep
again,
asking about hands and tongues.
yeah, not sure it's an undead, mind you. I didn't stick around long enough to find out that much information because no, thank you. Um, but yeah, things are weird, and there's lots of things that are very weird, and this is coming from me. And let's just say I have self awareness to know that I'm me, So there's that.
I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. It sounded from what I gather from Shay that you guys were in Flono after you were there with me. And I'm still very curious as to what happened when you guys were there.
Oh, yeah. So, I was not a very nice person to Shay when we met.
Well, neither were you
Shay,
nice to me, so I mean,
yeah, but you didn't trust me, which was probably the right move. Shay was very trusting, and it was a little too easy. I know that's kind of mean to say, but yeah,
true though.
this is between us. Um, and I kind of took her because there was a whole thing, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had to do with Flemgesu again, and I was like, I've been there once, sure. And apparently, Shay doesn't like people dying, I guess, is a thing. Like, I don't quite know how it was
Weak stomach.
unsettling. Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't have, but it got me back in to the manor to continue kind of searching the manor, which is what I wanted to do originally. Mostly because you never know when, and no offense, you never know when you're going to need some blackmail against a dragonborn in Flunopafel. It's just prudent to like
The
look
priest,
for
I
some
mean,
bad-
yeah, right?
yeah, they're not great. Like I have some theories that I have not shared with Shay about Arcturus. I don't know how much factual they are, but I mean, I'm not a great person. Like I will fully recognize that, and there's something happening, and I don't know what it is. And Shay really wants to like go to Einenland and go potentially back to Pelicune to find people, and I would like to not. Like I would go literally anywhere but there. So fingers
Hmm.
crossed.
Funny story. Ha! Yeah, I also want to go back there and kill Flumgesu.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, I you can send me a postcard. Like that's great. Um I would prefer not to go just because I like living. And I feel like going back may put that chances lower than I want to be. Also, I might have pissed off the thieving guild. So
Ew.
there's that.
Well, that's
But
bad.
yeah, but I mean, the thieving guild here has kind of pissed me off. So that's something else I'm going to have to deal with potentially before we leave on the caravan tomorrow.
Yeah, not a lot of time for that in the morning. We'll get back to that, but to circle back to what happened exactly in the manor at Flamgesus.
Yes.
Yes.
So I kind of went upstairs and I did some searching for things. I didn't find anything. I did find a room that was rather disconcerting that I kind of see in my nightmares occasionally. Um, no dead bodies in that room. Actually, kind of would have preferred a dead body, probably. Come to think of it. Um, and I don't actually know what I saw, I feel like they were probably candles, and there was probably a circle of some kind. But when I try to think about it, my brain goes fuzzy because I don't want to. And it was a secret room because it was definitely behind a panel somewhere. And usually, secret rooms behind panels are not good places to be unless you're the person that owns the secret room. So, yeah,
Okay, are you talking about he was doing magic?
I did not see him doing magic. I saw him probably make a deal of some kind. I don't know what exactly. I was not like we were not in the room together. There was only a very short period of time. I was in the same place as a tourist, and they did not know I was there because I was behind some barrels, which is probably wise when it comes to a person like that. Um, yeah. So it was just like a room, and there was a lot of candles, and I'm pretty sure there was blood on the floor, but I'm not exactly sure because I did not stick around to find out. Because unlike apparently everybody else in the universe, gnomes don't get gods, is what I'm beginning to learn.
Oh,
Like, and I'm not upset about it, but like, if dragons get gods, and like Aegis gets a god, and the gunslinger gets a god, what did gnomes get? Like, we don't got nothing. Like, I gotta worship Milfroon. I mean, no offense,
I'm not
but
real sold on that guy either, so I hear you.
Milfroon kind of sucks. I gotta be honest.
I love. See, when you are honest, Panabon, I love you. I love that kind of honesty. So let's get back to the deal that was struck.
Yes. I don't know what the deal was exactly. I know it involved Shay no longer being in prison, which I found weird for a variety of reasons. I did
Okay.
not see there was someone that Arturus talked to, but I have no idea who it was.
What did he look like? Do you know?
I didn't get a good look. I was behind a barrel because I did not want to be known.
That's fair.
And I was also kind of in pain because Shay had lit me on fire a couple of times, which I kind of deserved. But
Sounds hilarious, actually.
was,
Yeah.
oh no, it was probably very hilarious, but very painful. Not I totally agree. I would totally light myself on fire too. But yeah. So I don't know. I really don't want to go back to Pelican, but I'm also. I don't think it's just the undead that are following us, but that's a theory that I have that I don't have any proof for yet, but I'm working on getting proof. Um, I think there's something very unsettling happening that don't involve the undead, which I actually kind of like because I can actually stab things that may actually have consequences to things being stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, just based on the tattoo on the guy that we found, there does seem to be a human element. And I have to say, those Inquisitor Dragonborn that we came across, I didn't get a good feeling from the 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 mono the bigger one. The copper one, yeah, fine maybe, but I didn't get a good feeling from him either. But I just have been thinking about our first night when we met and about the murder of my sister Natashka, and the more I think about it, the more certain I am that Flemgesu had her killed. And when we first met, obviously you didn't know me. I didn't trust you. You didn't trust me, and I get that. But now that we're friends, I'm hoping that you could give me your honest assessment. Was it Flemgesu who ordered her killed?
I have no doubt that if it wasn't Flemgesu, it was someone Flemgesu knew. And I have no proof of that other than based on the deadomancy occurring around us. I have no problem believing that people in power abuse that power because in Palacoon, I would get sent on missions to create blackmail scenarios for palace intrigue. So it's not like they don't know how long the shadows extend in Palacoon. There are shadows everywhere, and I think the more comfortable we get with the shadows, the more we'll start to understand like how far they go, because they go pretty far if people are coming back to life from graveyards. Which, by the way, great fun adventure, but not enough places to hide to throw things from. By the way, just too open, too level. Like I need a couple of barrels or like something I can jump off of. Just some variety
Yeah,
in stab.
I'll work on making sure we have a better landing the next time we come across the undead.
Thank you. Oh, also, thank you, by the way, for taking Shay to her like first fight. Congratulations! I've been trying to do that for so long. Thank you for that.
She came a little bit late, and I don't know how much she enjoyed it, but yes. And then she ran off after a dead body, and I'm not exactly sure why, nor did I ask. But
Oh, we lit that on fire.
oh, okay, good to know. Yep, that's important.
Yeah, that was the whole point of it, was the lighting on fire. I assume. I mean, I only caught her coming out the side door, so I assume the lighting on fire was like the thing. I wanted to search the body to see if there were any more tattoos on it, but it was on fire before I could manage that. So
Good thought. Good thought. Well, I appreciate this. I feel like we're becoming, dare I say it, friends. And when I do go back and confront Flamgesu, who I now feel confident is the person responsible for my sister's death, I would like you to join me. I understand that, of course, you've got safety concerns for your own skin. But the problem with letting the shadows continue is that the whole world will end up in the shadows if nobody does something about it. And I'm convinced that this group can take that on.
well, I'm not convinced of anything because, like I said, I've seen people without hands, which is kind of a traumatic experience. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to sleep sometimes, because I kind of see it in the back of my brain. But I also really would like a chance to get a chance to stab Flimgesu. I mean, that would
That's
make
the
me a
spirit.
legend.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
would.
it's like top of the head, just like a like cut off the hair with the knife. That could be kind of fun. Just something
And
to
then
say.
we'll
Stop.
make sure he
Yeah.
stays dead afterward. So best of both worlds.
Oh, I like that. That's a good plan. I like that plan. No, that's a good plan. That's better. That's better than just like continuing to move places. And yeah, that's probably better than any plan that I would have had. Yeah, because
So
I'm
with
not really a
that,
planner. If you haven't noticed, I'm not big on plans.
Prunia laughs. I know, Panabon, and kind of puts her arm around as they stare out into the light of the city. And scene.
And
Awesome. Aw. All the talking, like the way John is just able to keep going is impressive. Love it.
yes.
I also love how Perugia was just like, yes, stabbing. You can stab him. Come on. And
Knows how to convince him.
Yeah, right?
So that's great.
Yeah. No, what's going to be great is with the dagger that's coming back, because I don't know when exactly that will happen, but that will be an exciting moment in their friendship.
Yeah, I'm glad we're friends though now. At least we got some of that going.
Yeah.
I definitely thought that was where you were going, and you were going to be like, "Do you still have the dagger?" And like, I was
No,
like,
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the dagger yet. So Prunia's like that left her memory. So it's not till she sees it will that come back up.
Oh, that'll be great. I'm hoping I can bring that back in the most inopportune moment, like just in the middle of the worst battle ever, like on the caravan, Lego movie style.
Oh
God.
man. Amazing. Well, I had a blast with you guys tonight, just talking all things Coddlesworth, Kaelithus, and like Clockwork, and getting to do some role play, which is my favorite part of gaming. Didn't even have to make a single dice roll tonight. I just missed the sound of the clackety clack, but that's okay. So next week we'll be back. Danny should be back with us, and we'll continue on our adventure. But in the meantime,
it's going to be an interesting one because we have no money left.
Yeah. So gonna have to do something about that.
I mean, I've offered to steal camels. I mean, I don't know what else I need to say.
I'll add a
This-
condition to
it's-
my contract.
Oh man, yeah. The fact that we might
More
also
impossible.
not get paid for the job that we're taking.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
But we also might get paid a lot. So, like, I know we're giving Aegis a hard time, but if we were able to do it, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Would it help if I join Nipue? Like, I'm looking for a god. Like, is Nipue like open to new followers?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh man.
Is there like
All
a
right.
membership
So
drive?
Better take us out, Sarah.
from here on, I think Shay's gonna have hold the business conversations. From here on out, she might feel a little more confident if she could sit on someone's shoulders to actually look, not. So here's how this is gonna work.
That's amazing.
But in the meantime, guys, I hope you have a great week. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to pledge to the Kickstarter if you haven't already. And even if you have, spread the word far and wide so we can hit those stretch goals. And we will see you next week. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.